Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
Wonderful again to see you, of course.
Well, thank you.
We are going to take on something this week that, you know what, I haven't heard it really discussed a lot before, but I've read about it.
Yeah, well, of course, I get bombarded with it in my email, being in the industry.
Oh, sure. And this is the idea of I guess, for the better way to describe it, the supposed Googleization of real estate.
Technology is taking over. There's not going to be any need for realtors anymore. It's all going to be done on the computer. Serve yourself. Push this button.
Buy and sell your home using an app.
Yeah, it's a joke. I'm sorry. I mean, the bottom line is that I can maybe see in some of the major cities where this could work, or maybe even in a down market when sellers had a hard time selling their houses, but I doubt that then they would do it at that time. So like one of the biggest things that's happening is Zillow is offering to buy your house. So if your house is on the market, Zillow will come in with an offer.
Which I imagine is not going to be anywhere close to what you could probably realistically expect locally, right?
Right. And somehow, I'm not sure how they get away with this, but they contact the seller and say, like, ditch your realtor, get rid of them, and we'll give you this for an offer. Because I've been seeing on, like, different chat rooms that I belong to and stuff that agents say, oh, my gosh, I was just asked to cancel my listing for these people because they want to accept an offer from Zillow. And what do you guys think of that? Should I do it? And, that kind of thing. So it's kind of crazy, but then they come in, and what Zillow does is I don't want to say flip it because they don't go like to crazy extremes, but if there are some things that make it more attractive, like maybe get the people's furnishings out because maybe somebody lives there and it's really cluttered, or good cleaning, or some fresh paint, or some fresh carpet, and then they list it with an agent that they have contracted. And then he will list it for some ridiculously low commission, like undercut other agents or whatever. I think they just contract with, I don't even really know how it works. But anyway, they then turn around and list it with this agent, and then they sell it. And what I just read in an article in the Inman News, which is like the latest and greatest in real estate, and they said that on the average, Zillow is losing $2,900 per house that they've purchased. So I'm not sure it'll be a thing that they'll do forever if that's the case.
Sounds like a really bad business.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Kind of. So it was.
Well, the things that amazed, just going back to Zillow is, just curiosity-wise, I'll once in a while look at my property.
Yeah. Your Zestimate.
Whatever it's called. It's never even close to what I think realistically it is. And actually the description of the home is incorrect.
Exactly. Sometimes they have the number of bedrooms wrong, the number of bathrooms. I mean, it's just, I'm not quite sure. I mean, honestly, it's our own fault. And when I say our own fault, I mean the realtors in general, the industry, because we allowed to give access to our MLS information to these third-party companies so that they could, go out and supposedly advertise our listings, but now it's like they're trying to take over our industry. So it's a little crazy.
Well, number one, I can't imagine that I would ever do that. I'm too old school for that. I want to actually deal with a real person.
And I feel like in Rochester especially, I mean, I think the Midwest in general, but Rochester especially, I think we have a lot of really educated people here. I mean, people are smart. They're going to want to do what's best. And I think that also, a majority of our population are Mayo Clinic employees. And we all know, well, you and I know, that Mayo Clinic is very relationship based. So I think our general audience here in Rochester are intelligent, relationship-based people. So I'm not feeling threatened at all by this. I just think it's hilarious. Like now it's Amazon is getting into real estate. Really? Because they don't have enough going on? So their thing is apparently they will list somebody's... No, you use our preferred agent and then you get these $5,000 worth of free stuff like security cameras or Ring doorbells or thermostats or I don't know, some kind of a thing. So basically they're trying to become a relocation company. They're trying to be a middleman and get a piece of the pie. So then they'll line that seller up with a realtor, and that realtor will then owe piece of the commission back to them.
They get a cut.
Yeah, everybody wants a piece of the pie. And all that does in the end, in my opinion, is makes it more expensive for the consumer.
Well, that $5,000 worth of stuff is going to be paid for somehow.
Exactly.
They're not giving it to you for free.
Right.
There's
Well,
no
we
way.
we know the $5,000 stuff is really worth what? $800?
Yeah.
Whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Well, the thing right away that bothers me about it is it's treating the home as just a commodity. It's like, any loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And goodness gracious, it's probably the most important purchase you'll ever make in your life. I mean, even if you do it multiple times, is choosing your home. I can't imagine doing that online.
Exactly. And the thing is that every single situation is different. I mean, I could sell 4 houses on the same block that were all built by the same builder within a year apart, okay? And there are 4 houses that are very similar in a physical way,
Sure.
but very different in why that family is selling it. What's going on? Are they selling it because they've got a new job across country and they've got to get it sold? And what matters to them is a quick sale? Are they selling it because they're going to downsize now and put their kids in college and they need to get every penny out of it because they want to, this is all about the finances.
Yeah.
So every situation is different. And I think the human factor is the biggest factor of a real estate transaction. So the fact that people would even think about going to some sort of automation or, using the computer to buy and sell houses is just a little crazy to me.
And you mentioned the situation faced by the seller, but I'm imagining in my mind that I go to some website and it has that little drop-down box and your reason for selling.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's going to be
exactly.
3 choices. And
Seriously. Yeah.
And as if the computer program is going to take that into account when
not
when
very
it markets
personable.
the home.
Yeah. No, I see where it could possibly work. I mean, if the stats are true that Zillow's losing $2,900 per sale, I'm not sure how that works. I mean, maybe they need a department where they lose money. I mean, I don't know. But the bottom line is I don't look for that to become a real threat in the Rochester market anytime soon, if ever.
Okay, so we're talking about that human element and person-to-person relationship. And what kind of things do you run into when you're dealing with property? I know you mentioned the seller side of it, that some people are in a hurry, that they have a new job and they have to move. And I guess what I'm getting is, how is that communicated to you? Those sort of needs amongst your clients.
Well, the truth is that to be a very good realtor, you have to be a very good listener. Because when you go in, I should say when I go in, because I'll just talk about how it is for me. When I go into a listing appointment, I am very interested in hearing, all about their history with the house, because truly it's different. Like your house, Andy, you've lived there, you've raised your family there. Yeah. I mean, you have a lot of history there. There are other people who have moved in 2 years ago. It wasn't the house they wanted in the first place, but it worked. They were in town for 2 weekends to pick a house. They have zero personal attachment to it. I mean, every single time it's different. So I think it's so important for me to hear the story. It doesn't change the value of the property, but it definitely changes my approach and my interaction with the customers, because people do not realize just how stressful buying and selling houses can be. I mean, not stress in a bad way. I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, this has been a disaster, stressful. Just this is a lot to think about. And I remember one listing appointment specifically where the lady called me. She wanted to sell her house. It was a very, very high-end, beautiful house, and she had it pristine showing condition. And I came in and she gave me the tour and it was lovely. And we sat down, and when we started to go through the paperwork, she just wept. And I said, is everything okay? She said, no, everything is not okay. I'm selling my whole life. And I'm like, okay, you are not ready to do this. I mean, you are clearly not ready to sell your house. And I'm not going to sit here and fill out this paperwork because, financially they did not need to sell it. They had already built a house in Florida. They were kind of going back and forth. They just thought they didn't need this big house to maintain while they lived here. So she literally said, "Thank you so much." And I left, and she called me a few months later and she's like, "Okay, I'm over it. I'm ready to sell now." And she was ready to sell. But I'm sorry, but if she's doing one of these deals online, that part, that doesn't come up. You see what I'm saying? It's like Zillow offers, we'll give you X number of dollars, and there's no personal factor.
So it's the experience of it, because regardless of whether you need to or don't need to, selling a home is an experience, and as you point out, it's very stressful.
It can be very stressful.
And having you there personally guiding a person through the process is so important. I mean, I've already figured that part out.
You are so good.
I'm going to school, I told you.
Yep. My realtor in training.
Well, there we go.
Andy Brownell.
We're going to talk more. We have to take a really quick break. Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE results with me this morning. Andy Brownell on News Talk 1340, KROC-AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back. Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE results. And, of course, we're talking about real estate and kind of, I don't know, we'll find out if it's going to be a fad, but our current infatuation with everything online and the idea that you're buying and selling your home online or through an app or whatever it may be, Zillow or Google or Amazon. And,
yeah.
You and I have talked before about how each one of these sales always has, something unique happens. Not always, let's say, a problem, but they're not all cookie cutter. There's a uniqueness to every
no
deal.
two are the same. Yeah.
And sometimes things do come up, and at the last minute they come up that could endanger a deal, or makes one of the two parties upset about what's happening, and maybe that's another selling point for having somebody like you, Robin, right there on the spot and individually guiding everybody through this process.
I do know that historically, when you ask people, who have not been pleased with their real estate transaction, like, what is the problem? What have they not liked? And what they say is not enough communication with their agent. Okay, so I feel like that is something that at the Gwaltney Group we really stress to just, make sure that we're calling those clients and reaching out to them by email and giving them feedback when there's a showing and, getting questions answered. Have you heard about the, what's coming in on the corner up the street, or, whatever it is, and the constant communication so that they feel like we're very hands-on and a very big part of their transaction. And it goes smoothly between us and, if there's another agent involved, the other agent. So yeah, I just can't even imagine. I'm a relationship person, period. Like, I've had the same insurance guy for the last 30 years. I don't get online and say, "Oh, I'm going to save 5% if I go here. I'm going to save 10%. Am I really? And is he going to be there for me when I have a question about this or that, or, I just got a rock chip, or, whatever it is." So
I'm with you.
I think that, and I think a lot of people, like I said, here are the same. I think we do value those relationships. And I guess the proof is in the pudding, because I've talked to you before about how we have sold people their first house as a young couple, and then, their step-up house, and then maybe their dream house, and then their downsize house, and now a lot of times our clients' grown kids' house, So it's because we've built that relationship. It's not because we have a flashing button, save 1% or save 2% or whatever. It's people come from all over the country to Rochester, Minnesota to get medical care. I don't think they come here because it's the cheapest place to come, because I don't know, because I don't compare medical prices, but I don't think that, I've never seen Mayo Clinic offering a discount on a total hip or anything online. Have you?
Not yet.
No. So I feel like people, they have established a name for themselves and a brand about the care people will get when they get here, and the excellent medical attention that they'll get. And so, like I use that comparison, I'm far from Mayo Clinic, but I use that comparison because we use that model. I mean, we're very client centric, okay? And it's all about happy and satisfied customers, and it's all about us being very good at what we do and being the best, in the business, and giving, care that's above and beyond what people expect, and service, and then they'll tell other people, and then it grows.
And you mentioned the bells and whistles part of some of the online outfits. And me personally, every time I've tried something like that, thinking I'm going to save some money, I can't apply it to these folks because I have no idea.
Right.
But I didn't save any money in the end because it ended up being that
we've all learned the lesson when we were kids, Andy. If it sounds too good to be true, it's what?
It's too good to be true.
Right. It's too good to be true.
And often, whatever the bells and whistles offered ended up being something you really didn't need in the first place.
Right.
And the thing you really needed, especially in this type of transaction, perhaps you're not able to get where you're just a phone call away.
Exactly. And that's the truth. And that's why, when people say to me, are you worried about this? Does this make you feel threatened? I say, absolutely not. I don't feel like that is a real threat to our local industry. And again, I don't speak for large cities where it's difficult to get out and go about. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just talking about the market that I know, and that is Southeast Minnesota. And no, I do not feel threatened by that.
Going back to Zillow, and I told you earlier that once in a blue moon, I'll just be bored and I'll look at my house. Mm-hmm. My experience with that has not been positive because I'm aware enough of the market to know that that's not realistic. What I'm seeing there is my experience not uncommon.
Oh, it's not uncommon at all, and it's so funny because the only people who ever believe the Zestimate are the ones who have the crazy high Zestimate. The ones that have the crazy low Zestimate are like, what are these people? They're crazy. And sometimes even the one where the Zestimate is somewhat right. Oh, that can't be right. It's got to be more. But the people who's got the super high elevated Zestimates are like, yeah, well, Zestimate, my Zestimate is, so Zillow says I can sell it for. And it's like, yeah, no. It's not how it works.
I thought mine was too high.
Yeah. Oh, yeah? Okay, good. Well, good. Yeah, but usually those are the people who are like, yeah, well, Zillow can. Well, I don't think so. And I used to say, well, let Zillow sell it for you. I won't say that anymore because now Zillow will try to sell it for them. Oh, anyway.
All right, Robin Gwaltney. Gwaltney Group with RE/MAX results. And we'll continue. We'll be back in just a moment on News Talk 1340, KROC-AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back. I'm Andy Brownell, and we're speaking with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results. And we spent most of the program talking about this, online,
large
scale, app-driven real estate. And for somebody who's never done this before, perhaps they're considering that as an option. Maybe we should just talk about what the process is when you're dealing with real people. Let's say you're dealing with somebody with the Gwaltney Group. If I'm a first-time home buyer, I get your phone number off this program, I give you a call, what happens?
Okay, that's a good question. So I feel like when I meet with somebody, when I get a call and they say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I got your name from whoever, and I say, oh, that's great, lovely, I'd love to meet with you face-to-face so we can talk about this. So typically we set up a time and they come to my office and we talk. If it's to buy, we come to my office. If it's to sell, we go to their house. But come to my office and we talk about the important things like, have you been pre-approved? Have you already gone to figure out, not so much that I think, oh, are you wasting my time? Can you really get a loan? It's not about that. It's about them understanding, if I buy a house that costs $180,000, this is how much money I'm going to have for my down payment. This is how much money I'm going to have for my closing costs. And this is what my payment will be each month. So when you get that pre-approval, all those questions are answered and all those numbers are laid out. So you can basically figure out your budget and plan accordingly, right? So, Andy, you and I have talked a lot about how people will get pre-approved often for way more than they can really own comfortably. Not
Right.
that they can't make the payments, but then maybe they have to think twice about going out to dinner on Friday night, or maybe that vacation's going to have to wait till next year. And it's, the term you hear a lot of is, I don't want to be house poor. In other words, I don't want to have such a chunk of my payment going to a house payment that I have to be stressed about other money that I spend, right? So it's really important to sit down and really have that discussion, with the lender that you choose. And if the buyer doesn't have that relationship with the lender, I do, with several really good mortgage people that I'll set them up with, and then just really do a little talk about what are you comfortable paying each month, and what do your income look
Sure.
like, and all that.
What's
so that's
realistic.
So that way, if they know they can afford $250,000 and we buy a house that's $200,000, well, yay, they have extra money and it's all good, right? So that's the first piece. We want to get that out of the way, and because houses go so quickly that if you're not pre-approved when you go out to look at a house, you're going to just set yourself up for failure, because it's not like we're going to say, well, I have people that are interested, but just give us until Monday to get to the bank and get pre-approved. Oh, sorry, 3 other people sent me offers, and they all have letters saying they are pre-approved and ready to go.
Be ready to do it.
Yeah, so we've got to be ready. So it's my responsibility to make sure that buyer is, ready to go. And then we get out and we talk about what things are really important to you. Like some people say, I absolutely want to be where my kids can walk to school. I don't want them riding the school bus. I don't want that extra hour. All right, so then we're only going to look at neighborhoods that are walkability to a school. Or some people will say, no matter what, my garage has to be attached, because I'm not walking from a detached garage to the house in the 30 below zero with the baby.
You haven't even brought up the size of the garage.
Yeah, you and that big garage. Yeah, some people really want a big garage. It's really important to some people. But yeah, anyway, so we talk about what the needs are first, and then what the wants are kind of second, So we have an idea, and then we start looking at houses, and I can feel after just a time or two out with buyers, I know what they love and what they don't like. And some people just really love a lot of separate living spaces. So the kids have this and the parents have this. And some people are like, we just want no walls, one big open congregation. But you can feel it, So again, the personal part of it, right? So I get to, and then I set up a portal and I start sending that person houses that I feel are going to be a match. And then when they see something that they say, oh yeah, that one looks pretty good, then they call me and we arrange a time to go look at it. And then when it's time to, so there's just, it's just a step-by-step process. And then once we find the property and we negotiate and we get the offer accepted, then we set up the inspection and make sure everything is good with that. And then we look at the inspection and say, well, the kitchen sink is leaking. We want the seller to fix it, or, we go through the items one by one and renegotiate a last time, and then it's on to the closing. So,
okay. And one thing that struck me from when you were talking about this process, and that you could, within a few showings, kind of know what these people are really want. I'm imagining that in your case, then when a new listing comes on and you see it and you go, oh yeah, right here, this is going to...
I love that. I love that part. I love that part. One time, I don't know if I've told you this story before, and I'm sure I don't know if I've told it on the air, but I literally met some people at an open house, and they didn't like that house, but I took them to another house from that house, they said, we like this one, but we want bigger. I'm like, okay, I know the perfect house. I took them to my listing. They said, if you can find someone to buy our house, we could buy this house. I went to see their house. I knew a buyer that was looking for that. I called them up. They came over. They said, we'll buy this one if you can find somebody to buy our house. I looked at their house. I'm like, I know somebody who wants this. And it was just like a fun chain reaction. And I love it when that happens.
And it actually all went through?
Oh, yes, absolutely it did. And it's just great. It's like when you know what someone's looking for and then you see it, you come across it at a listing appointment or you see it pop up online. It's such an exciting feeling because it's like, this is what they've been waiting for. And I love sending it off to them saying, here it is, guys. I think this is the one. And usually it is. So it's fun.
All right. If you want that personal experience working with Robin or somebody with the Gwaltney Group, how do we get a hold of you, Robin?
Well, you know as well as I do that my cell phone is always right here in my hand, and that number is 507-259-4926. Feel free to call me or text me anytime, or you can go to our website at gwaltneygroup.com, GWALTNEY group.com.
All right, and remember, if you missed a portion of this program or previous programs, you go to KROCnews.com. You go to the trending bar. You look for local podcasts. Really easy to find. Click on that, and you can find all of the programs right there. Until next week, Robin.
Sounds great.
Have a good one. I'm Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney. Gwaltney Group-RE results on News Talk 1340, KROC-AM and 96.9 FM.